teenage girl gone without a trace.
I don't think she realized that she was playing with fire.
And a mother on a mission to find her daughter.
We're trying to put a puzzle together, and we need that missing link.
But what she'll uncover...
He does have a criminal side, too, a dark side. So anything's possible.
Will lead investigators on a manhunt for the usual suspects who are anything but.
They have something to hide, and they're hiding it.
I really don't want to have to leave this world not knowing what happened to my daughter.
It's summertime in Austin, Texas.
Mama, come down here.
Go ahead, Roxanne.
Come down here with me.
And the Paltauf sisters, Roxanne, Rosalind, Ronica, Ruby, and their mother Elizabeth, can be found keeping cool at nearby Lake Travis.
I will.
Get together. Roxanne, come on.
Roxanne, jump way out. See rocks right there. You hit them.
But when the July 4th weekend rolls around, the weather goes from hot to a sweltering heat wave.
You got to understand, it was the craziest summer ever. It was one of the hottest summer Austin, Texas ever had. It was hitting over 100 every day. It was hot, it was miserable, and people act crazy in the summertime with heat.
But Elizabeth Harris could never know just how crazy things were about to become when her oldest daughter, Roxanne, asked to spend this traditionally family-filled holiday instead with her boyfriend, Lewis Walls.
You had a big family outing and you wanted her to be a part of it, but she chose to hang out with her boyfriend.
I was kind of disappointed because usually it was a family ordeal.
But it's Roxanne and Lewis's 2-year anniversary, so her mother reluctantly agrees.
She said, I'll be home in a couple of days, and I said, that's fine. She always called me every day. We always kept in touch, and, you know, I knew she would be all right.
And when Roxanne returns from her romantic getaway, Elizabeth plans to take her eldest and the rest of her kids on a shopping spree.
We were supposed to go shopping at the outlet mall. This is a Saturday. My mom spoke to Roxanne that Friday before, letting her know what time to be home, what time we're leaving.
Then, after Roxanne's phone call with her mom, several hours pass. According to her family, Roxanne should be home already, but instead she makes another phone call to her mom.
Saying that I'm going to spend one more night with him and I'll be home in the morning. And I was kind of upset that she didn't just come home and we could have left early and gone shopping, but I said, okay, fine.
Roxanne said, don't worry, I'll be there.
Then Saturday morning arrives.
Roxanne never showed.
Roxanne's family assumes she got caught up with her anniversary celebration. Plus, Roxanne's an adult now, turning 18 6 months ago, so they give her some space and continue on with their Saturday plans.
Went ahead and went shopping that day. It was in another town. And we came back that evening, probably around 4-ish.
Then finally, a call from Roxanne's cell phone, but it's not her voice on the other line.
It was Lewis on the line, and I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, why are you using her phone? Why are you calling? He goes, have you seen Roxanne? And that was just peculiar. I said, what do you mean, have I seen her? She's with you. What's going on?
Roxanne's sister Rosalind is standing in earshot of the conversation.
What did he say?
He said they got into an argument, that she stormed out, and he tried to go after her, but she was too mad.
So mad, according to Lewis, that Roxanne left the hotel empty-handed.
Then Lewis goes on and says that I have her cell phone, she didn't take her purse with her, I have everything of hers.
Does that sound like your sister to just walk off without her purse and cell phone?
Absolutely not.
The Paltauf family is panicked.
She's just gone. Something's not right.
And already, time isn't on their side.
That was last night. And here's almost 24 hours later, and I don't know, you don't know where she's at, and we've got to find her. And I immediately got in the car and went down to that area.
But when Roxanne's family arrives to the motel where Lewis and Roxanne spent their romantic weekend, it's hardly a lover's paradise. In fact, it's downright terrifying.
I really didn't know about Runberg area until I started hanging out there trying to look for my daughter, and I realized how rough it was. And it's not a place where you want your daughter.
Jordan Smith is a staff writer with the Austin Chronicle.
Austin is a very vibrant town. Has a large flagship university. When you start to move north, you tend to get into sort of a little bit rougher neighborhood, known for street crime, a lot of flophousey kind of motels you get rent by the hour.
This area is the Austin corridor, known as Rundberg, the last known place Roxanne was seen.
I did call the police, but she's 18. It was a day or two later before they responded, you know. I knew in my mind, I had to take action. This is my daughter. It's nobody else's responsibility. I got to do what I got to do.
Meanwhile, Roxanne's frantic mother tells Lewis to call police too.
He was there. He was the last one to see her, so he knows more of what happened.
Detective James Scott takes the call.
We almost had two simultaneous calls, police reports, one from Elizabeth, who is Roxanne's mom, and then we had one from Lewis Walls.
Lewis tells cops the same thing he told her mother.
They had gotten in an argument, and she had stormed off.
But was he telling the truth? And just who is Lewis Walls?
There's Roxanne's room. She's doing this for Grandma. Hi, Grandma. I love you.
Time is of essence. I got to find my daughter.
There are a series of clues to Roxanne Paltauf's disappearance that begin to surface for cops.
Which kind of, in and of itself, bumps it up a level.
She's been missing since Friday night. It's now Sunday morning, and still no word from the 18-year-old Austin teen.
From this point on, I don't know what happened to her.
But one thing is for sure, Lewis Walls was in no rush to report Roxanne's disappearance to the authorities.
Lewis didn't let Roxanne's mom know for quite some time. He didn't report that night that she didn't come back. He didn't report the next morning that she didn't come back.
You heard right. Lewis takes a full 24 hours to report his girlfriend missing.
As a detective, you know, that's a big alarm for me. Well, he was already at home, had already supposedly picked up everything from the room and taken it and checked out of the hotel.
And by the time cops arrive at the motel,
3 days have passed with us not even being aware that someone was missing. It gives time for the hotel to have other tenants in.
it's a devastating blow to the investigation, and it was about to get even more complicated.
Because of the bookkeeping at the front desk, it was almost impossible to determine exactly what room they were in.
So detectives turn their attention to the evidence that does exist. The items Lewis says she left the night she ran off. But first, they need to get them back from Lewis.
The fact that all that stuff is left behind is incredibly creepy. And I think one of the other disturbing things about that is what Lewis does afterward, is he keeps her possessions.
5 long days, according to her family. Then finally, Lewis returns them.
What did he return, and what did you make of what he gave you?
He gave back her purse and her cell phone, and the jewelry that she usually wears, everything, and also a bag of clothes.
But when they go through her bag of clothes, there's a big problem.
They were not Roxanne's. I know her clothes. You know, I'm her sister. I know every article of clothing that she has. They were not hers.
Then detectives make another startling discovery when they pull the missing teen's cell phone records seen here.
It was calls every 2 or 3 minutes. It's as if someone didn't answer, just call after call after call.
More than 300 calls in all after Roxanne went missing. And just who is dialing up a storm on the missing girl's cell?
Lewis Walls,
That's right, Roxanne's own boyfriend.
he started using her cell phone and making calls that obviously he would not be making with Roxanne in the room.
So who is Lewis calling?
The 1-800-SEX lines.
And another frequent number that pops up?
His ex-girlfriend in New Mexico.
But calling 1-800-SEX lines and an ex-girlfriend isn't a crime. So Austin PD detectives keep digging and speak with the motel clerk working the night Roxanne disappeared.
There was a clerk that said, yes, I did see her leave. I did see him follow her.
The clerk's story matches Lewis Wall's account of the night in question.
He said they got into an argument, that she stormed out, and he tried to go after her, but she was too mad, so he stayed inside.
But he wasn't alone in his motel room for long. As cops question the motel clerk further, they learn she's handling more than the books.
The young lady indicated that from late that night after her shift, she had gone to the room and spent time with Lewis until the wee hours of the morning.
His girlfriend, supposedly girlfriend, walks out, storms off, and all of a sudden he's intimate with another woman within hours.
Exactly.
Which leads detectives to wonder if Lewis was expecting Roxanne to return ever.
Any reasonable person would say to themselves, okay, if I just got in an argument with my girlfriend, would it behoove me to bring another girl into this room right now knowing that she's going to return here at some point because all of her stuff is here?
Now police want to know, did Roxanne walk away, or is there something more sinister at play?
It's kind of a shotgun blast of everything.
Detectives want to speak to Lewis Walls, but he's refusing to cooperate.
Lewis told me several times, hey, you're trying to frame me, you're trying to put this on me, and
No, you were the last person to see her alive.
and that's what I try to explain to Lewis. Hey, if you didn't do this, help me. You know, you supposedly loved Roxanne. Let's me and you make a team. Let's work together. Come help me figure out what happened.
But while Lewis isn't talking, Roxanne's sisters are, and they have a frightening tale to tell. Just months before Roxanne goes missing,
We were coming home and we saw Roxanne at a bus stop. She was wearing sunglasses, so we of course pulled over and told her to come on in. You know, you're going home anyways. We happen to be on that side of town, and she takes off her sunglasses, and there's this completely black and white across her face. She had a broken nose, and it was detached, and she had to have surgery.
Roxanne tells her family that she got caught in the middle of a fight between Lewis and some other men. But after Roxanne goes missing, her family discovers a darker take on the events from a couple of Roxanne's friends.
Lewis did in fact punch her and cause that injury.
But cops have no proof that Lewis attacked Roxanne. The investigation seems to be stalling.
I have no probable cause right now to arrest him.
Then 6 days after Roxanne's disappearance, a domestic disturbance call comes into Austin PD. The location? A motel next door to the one where Roxanne was last seen.
It was somewhat of a perfect storm.
And perhaps the perfect break cops are looking for.
A security officer that happened to be walking by looked in the windows.
And according to police reports, the security guard sees a man and a local stripper in the middle of a struggle.
He had had her pinned to the floor and was choking her and trying to get her clothes off.
The man takes off before police arrive, but he leaves some things behind.
His hearing aid had fallen out during the tussle and had left behind his wallet.
Eventually, the suspected assailant returns to retrieve his belongings, now in the hands of police officers. The man is identified as Jeffrey Moore.
Jeffrey Moore was somewhat of a sexual predator. He would hire ladies of the night from that area and take them to hotel rooms. However, Jeffrey was somewhat rough.
And when police questioned Jeffrey about the alleged assault,
He said, hey, no, I know that girl. Yeah, we were gonna have sex, da-da-da. And the young lady, now that she is safe, has said, look, I don't want to be a part of this. She refused to cooperate.
there are no charges brought against Jeffrey concerning this incident. But before cops let Jeffrey go,
They were questioning Jeffrey, let me see your ID, you know, just natural routine of what the police do.
and make a discovery that's about to rock this case to its core.
Roxanne's ID fell out.
Now cops have a new person of interest in their investigation, and he's not Roxanne's boyfriend. It's a game changer that's about to lead detectives to stunning new developments. Gone.
Does she know that I'm looking for her? Does she know that I love her?
Austin teenager Roxanne Paltauf has been missing for almost a week after walking off during an argument, according to her boyfriend, Lewis Walls.
She was out there all alone.
Then a big break when Austin PD responds to a domestic disturbance call and questions a man by the name of Jeffrey Moore.
The police were able to take his wallet.
The police went through his wallet and found Roxanne's ID.
But Jeffrey says he can explain.
Jeffrey said, no, it's a friend, and we went out somewhere, and I had her ID, I was holding it.
A missing 18-year-old girl's life is on the line, so detectives push.
Jeffrey was asked again, how did you come to have this?
Feeling the squeeze, Jeffrey offers up additional details to police.
I was downtown at a club, and we started talking, and I was about to leave the club, and they asked me if I could give them a ride to Runberg. Roxanne must have dropped her ID in his car.
His story sets off alarm bells with detectives.
Completely contradicts the story he told the first time, that she's a friend of mine, I really want to give it back to her.
Right away, investigators track down Jeffrey Moore's car. Inside, they spot an ominous dark stain. They send it to the crime lab for testing. And when the DNA results come back,
Evidently, it wasn't Roxanne, so, it could have been anybody's.
and as for that stain, nothing more than dried ketchup. Jeffrey Moore remains a person of interest, but takes a back seat in the investigation for now. Meanwhile, police turn their attention back to Roxanne's boyfriend, Lewis Walls.
I truly believe that he has the answers.
And big little lies, according to police.
Roxanne met Lewis when she was 16. Lewis purported to her and her family that he was 18 at the time.
Try more like 28. That's right, Lewis is an imposter who set his sights on a much younger girl.
I didn't really find out his true age until after Roxanne disappeared. He was approximately 11 years older than her. So in my mind, if they met at 16, he's a pedophile.
But there's more. Police records reveal Lewis has a long rap sheet with a criminal history landing him in and out of jail.
If you've lived this life long enough to be a sociopath, if you have a one-track mind, if it's drugs, sex, money, well, that's all you're going to think about.
Despite the shocking fact that Roxanne's boyfriend turns out to be a much older, convicted felon, police still don't have any direct evidence to connect him to her disappearance. It's a frustrating reality for her family.
I think something happened to Roxanne that night. I don't think she ever walked out to go cool off. I think they got into an argument and he hurt Roxanne.
Determined to find justice and bring Roxanne home, once again the Paltauf family heads to the area she was last seen, handing out missing persons posters
If she's out there, we still need to find her one way or another.
and asking questions.
Have you seen her before? We're letting everybody know in the area she's missing and, we're here. We want to know what happened to her.
I spoke with everybody in that neighborhood, and it wasn't all the greatest neighborhood at all. I got to account for that. It was a whole bunch of hotel rooms everywhere. There were drug dealers in that area. There were, street girls out there.
One going by the name Loretta.
She came up to me, hey, have you found your daughter? I said, no, I'm still searching. And she reached down and got her across, and she goes, I'm going to help you find your daughter.
Sadly for the Paltauf family, almost 2 weeks pass and still no word from Roxanne.
There was just no sign of her.
Then there's news, and it's not good.
They found a body under a bridge.
Detective Scott was hoping to cushion the blow for Roxanne's mother.
What was that like, going to her mom and saying, we might have found her?
Unfortunately, the mom heard about it on the news that a body was located.
The Paltaufs brace for the worst.
We got a call from the police department asking if we can have Roxanne's dinner records ready.
But when the coroner's office officially IDs the body, it's stunning news for the Paltauf family. The dead woman is not Roxanne.
Who was it?
It was that woman that we met on the street.
It's a tragic twist. The dead body found under the bridge belongs to Loretta, the very same woman who told Roxanne's mother she would help find her daughter. But when details emerge about how the woman died, it's a brutal revelation.
There was paper towels shoved down her throat. Honestly, I think that she was asking a lot of questions, trying to find out what happened. Maybe she did find out what happened, and maybe they were trying to shut her up.
But who wanted to shut her up and why? And did it have anything to do with Roxanne's disappearance?
Mama, come down here.
Go ahead, Roxanne.
Come down here with me.
There's something about Roxanne and about her story that just sort of really sparks at your heart.
Beloved 18-year-old Roxanne Paltauf has been missing for 2 weeks. Then a body is discovered near the Austin motel where she was last seen.
That was one of the most frightful times of my life.
But it's not Roxanne. The body belongs to a woman on the streets who swore to find answers, now forever silenced.
If you're found murdered under a bridge with paper towels shoved down your throat, to me that only means one thing, that they're trying to get her to shut up.
For this woman to sort of wind up dead is strange. Could it be related? Absolutely.
But related to what exactly? As July turns into August, all anyone really knows is that she's still missing.
There's got to be somebody who knows something about what happened.
The Paltauf family continues their desperate search for Roxanne.
My family has hope. There's always those stories of missing loved ones coming home.
And as for the last known person to see her alive, her boyfriend, Lewis Walls.
He never once called us, "Why aren't you out here helping us look for her?"
Turns out Lewis is a busy man.
He was with another girl maybe a month afterwards.
That's right, Lewis has a new girlfriend.
He just kind of navigated to another young girl, just another victim in his story.
But not if Roxanne's mom can help it.
I wanted to try to save her before it happened again. I brought the young girl over to my house, and I started showing pictures of my daughter. You know, she revealed a lot to me, and she was scared.
And for good reason. When Lewis's new girlfriend drops this bombshell,
He told her at one time, if you don't do what I tell you to do, the same thing is going to happen to you, like that white girl, Roxanne.
In the right company, Lewis will talk about it. Hey, I killed someone, and I'm out here, and they can't touch me.
but by the time detectives interview Lewis's girlfriend about this alleged killer confession,
Lewis, he knows when to make nice.
the girlfriend refuses to cooperate with cops. And as far as Lewis's alleged admission to murder,
Could you officially take him in, or does it have to be voluntarily?
Has to be voluntarily. I have no probable cause right now to arrest him. I've got sufficient circumstantial evidence. I've got hearsay.
That's not
Unfortunately,
enough.
people from the street, their credibility is not the best.
sadly for the Paltaufs, the case goes cold. Months turn into years. Then,
There was a tip, and the FBI was out, and it was in a field off Runberg, not far from the little strip of motels where she went missing.
Austin police call a press conference.
Because we have her last seen in this area, we believe that this is probably going to be a valuable tip for us.
And the tip?
There might have been some remains found in this field, so there was a big FBI excavation team, and they were up there sifting through the debris and dirt.
The reality, we just really hit home. You know, they are searching for her, and it was, I broke down and cried, you know, it's like, you know, this is it.
We hope that we bring closure to a family today.
As investigators dig, the Austin News media and Roxanne's family wait, anticipating the absolute worst.
It was one of those, you know, terrible things where, on the one hand, you want to say, oh gosh, you know, maybe this is finally going to be put to rest, you know? So, and on the other hand, oh God, I don't want her to be dead.
They don't go out and put all this kind of money and manpower and time into something until they definitely got a hit. You know, they had search dogs and everything, and they truly believe Roxanne was there.
FBI agents and Austin homicide units spend all day digging in the field near the motel where Roxanne disappeared. But after hours of an extensive excavation for the missing girl's remains,
The FBI did not find Roxanne. They did not find remains.
leaving cops with no body and no suspects. But according to police, there remains two persons of interest in Roxanne's disappearance, Jeffrey Moore and Lewis Walls.
These two individuals, they have something to hide, and they're hiding it.
Detective Scott, who was the lead detective on the case, shares his theory on what he believes happened to Roxanne.
Jeffrey Moore, being a sexual predator, he hired prostitutes, and then he was rough with them. Lewis wanted Roxanne to prostitute herself out for his benefit. And I think what happened is those two worlds collided.
And Roxanne was caught in the middle.
Roxanne had no interest in that whatsoever.
And according to cops, it's possible her refusal to turn tricks may have gotten her killed.
Everything in the investigation points to that, unless something new comes to light. But without the testimony or complete cooperation of Jeffrey Moore or Lewis Walls, nothing new is ever going to come to light.
To date, Lewis Walls and Jeffrey Moore haven't been charged in connection with Roxanne's disappearance. It's a frustrating fact for the 23-year veteran detective.
I doubt not one bit that these two gentlemen are responsible for her demise.
Jeffrey Moore has since moved to Houston, but Crime Watch Daily gets a tip that Lewis Walls is still in the area. A private investigator who is working with us takes me to an apartment complex where Lewis Walls was spotted earlier in the day. Once and for all, I want to get his side of the story.
So you have two cars, two different views on this apartment complex, looking for Lewis Walls. We really want to talk to him, and we're going to sit out here for a few more hours and hope we can find him.
I hope to speak with the man who was the last known person to see Roxanne alive. We waited here for several hours wanting to talk to him to see if he knows more than he's leading on, but he was a no-show. Lewis Walls has yet to give an official statement to police. And sadly, for everyone who knew and loved Roxanne, life goes on without her.
Oh, you're so prettiful.
Roxanne's sister Rosalind has since gotten married and had a baby. It's Elizabeth's first grandbaby, a little girl named Pearl.
My heart is broken, and it'll never mend. Little Pearl's gonna help it. Thank God for that.
Every year on the anniversary of Roxanne's disappearance, her family hands out missing person flyers and talks to anyone who will listen.
I just keep marching forward, and I do it for me and for my family, especially for my mother and for Roxanne. When I think about all the good golden memories of her laughter, her jokes.
Our baby.
She was just so funny, she was goofy, and I miss her so much.
It's time for someone to step up and tell the truth and help this family finally heal. If you know anything about Roxanne's disappearance, you can call Austin Crime Stoppers at 512-472-TIPS.